Well, 2 days away from Christmas, that is the excitement, and definitely we do want to also say Merry Christmas to everyone who wakes up with us, at least for the beginning of the year. For everything we've been through, we have our reasons to celebrate and be happy and merry make, for the child of God is born. Thank you so much for staying with us all this time around. We've been viewed through the elections, through everything, the bombs, I mean, just to mention but a few. But nevertheless, we're happy to be back and bounce it and trying to make it all the best as usual. Of course, giving you current affairs in terms of what's happening locally and of course globally. Now, of course, we do give you updates in all spheres of entertainment, but also sports, and later on we look at weather, but also nature and transport. But we do that with a team of guys here, and today morning, of course, I have one of the most distinguished and smart lady with me, Mollen Kenyena. She's one of these days she's making a trend in fashion, and I'm keen to note that she's nailing it. Good morning, Mollen.
A very good morning to you. Well, that was a nice profile, and when you add the fashion in the story, it makes it feel like, you know, yes, Christmas is here. But well, Merry Christmas to you all. It's been a long year. It's been a really long year, but it's finally coming to an end, and we have reasons to share happiness. We have reasons to share love and joy, and that is what we're all about. We're just a few days towards Christmas, and it couldn't be just more perfect for us to even go more about the happiness and joy across this season. And you know, this is the time of the year that you get to check on your people, that one friend that you haven't checked on in a year, because that is possible. This is just the time you have to check on them, wish them Merry Christmas, but also look forward to ending the year and start a new one. You know, when Felix, when people are starting a new year, they always make all these, you know, plans for the year, and already people have started making those. And it's interesting to note that not a lot of people always, you know, make good on the plans.
Well, of course, I mean, planning is one of the basic utilities of life, and basically it's a sign of being organized and having a way forward for whatever you will be going through. So people plan for Christmas, say from the beginning of the year. Yeah. For example, for whatever some of the things that they weren't able to do, or places where they weren't able to go, they will say we'll go there in the festive season. Families want to visit places like the zoos, the national game parks, creative centers, places where they don't normally go, because I mean, it's Christmas. Yeah, but
so, this year it's going to be different, because guess what? Most of the events that, you know, used to happen during Christmas, there, you know, those events, musicians and what, most of the places are closed. So I'm thinking, like, if you've made plans of going somewhere, you can't even go because of the travel restrictions, or even, you know, these SOPs, clubs are not open, you know, concerts are not open. It's going to feel different. And I think we had a feel of that last year, but this year seems to be like, okay, we are settling for this. Now we are making it normal. It shouldn't be normal. We just hope.
I know, and someone was saying this whole word new normal is the worst word you want to use.
It is.
Because we can't get used to this whole thing. This is not how we know how to live. But of course, the only way we want to live like we are supposed to live is to get vaccinated. Now, this has been our message almost since the beginning of this year. The drugs are available. Let everyone make sure they are vaccinated. Just yesterday, cases of COVID-19 in Kampala were very high. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was over 500 cases just in one day. Yesterday in the UK, for the first time, they registered over 100,000 cases of coronavirus. Now that means the virus is back up and against us. We must put on our armor and go against the drug. Because guess what? Come next year, we must open our economy, we must open our schools, we must open our businesses. Life must get back to normal. But if we don't get vaccinated, we are deep in fighting our own selves. Now, of course, far from all this that we've been saying, we want to say thank you so much again for watching UBC, and of course, good morning Uganda. You've been our very ardent viewers since the beginning of the year. There's no better way to say thank you than to celebrate you all. But this morning, we also want to give you a recap of some of what's been happening in the papers in terms of news, and of course what's been making headlines since last evening. And of course that's locally, and later on we'll be looking at the stories internationally. But Mollen will take us through what's been happening on the local scene.
Well, we will start off with a story on the East African community that had a summit held, and that is the 18th Extraordinary East African Community Heads of State Summit, having directed by the Council of Ministers to expeditiously commence and conclude negotiations with the DRC for admission to the East African community and report to the summit next year. Now, as a reporter reports, the virtual summit held yesterday had also considered the proposal to amend the Rule 11 of the Rules of Procedure and directed the Secretariat to convene an extraordinary meeting of the Sectoral Council on Legal and Judicial Affairs to deliberate and advise on this proposal for consideration by next summit. Now, in a summit chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta of the Republic of Kenya and attended by President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, Prosper Bazumbaza, Vice President of the Republic of Burundi, and Honorable Deng Kul, Minister of East Africa Community Affairs, Republic of South Sudan, representing President Salva Kiir. The summit started by observing a minute of silence for fallen Tanzanian President John Pombe Magufuli, who passed on in March this year. Now, the chairperson of the summit informed the leaders that he has received the considered report by the Council of Ministers that considers the application by the Democratic Republic of Congo to join the East African community. Now, on his part, President Museveni also told the heads of state that Congo has been part of East Africa and the distortions by colonialists has kept them away. Now, moving on, we look at the Bujingo case. Now, Entebbe Grade 1 Magistrate Court has confirmed 3 charges against Pastor Aloysius Bujingo and his alleged wife Susan Makula. Now, to confirm these charges, this followed the LC1 letter from Bwerenga village confirming that the customary marriage ceremony that took place between the two and the confirmation of charges by the complainant Male Mabilizi to court. Now, Magistrate Stella Okwang was presiding over this matter, and alleged offences were committed on 7th December 2021 in Entebbe Wakiso district. The accused Pastor Aloysius Bujingo and his alleged wife Susan Makula in court before Magistrate Stella were represented by their lawyers Luhindi Ronald, although the accused did not appear in court as summoned. Now, during the session, Magistrate Stella also read the alleged charges against the accused. However, lawyer Luhindi dismissed the charges, saying that they were not stipulated anywhere within the law. Now, also, Male Mabilizi, one of the applicants in this matter, basing his argument on the rules of governing the Marriage Act of 1959 and the Penal Code Act Cap 120, assured the court that the charges against the accused are specified in the law. Now, after listening to both sides of the submission, Magistrate Stella confirmed 3 charges against the accused. However, court compelled the accused Aloysius Bujingo and his alleged wife to appear in court without fail come 21st January 2021 when court resumes. Now, in other stories, the Vice President of Uganda, Jessica Alupo, has lauded the Chief Coordinator of Operations Wealth Creation, General Salim Saleh, for his commitments to ensuring that all regions of the country are supported to develop. Now, she also commended him for supporting the private sector in developing the country, and tasked leaders from eastern and northern sub-regions of the country, namely Teso, Lango, Karamoja, Acholi and West Nile, to embrace all government development programs as a way of moving the country to the middle income status. Now, the Vice President made the remarks yesterday afternoon while addressing a meeting convened by Operation Wealth Creation at Garuga Resort, Katomi Kingdom Resort Hotel in Garuga off Entebbe Road. Now, lastly, we look into Kayunga, where Andrew Mwonge of the ruling National Resistance Movement took the oath of office as Kayunga's newly elected district chairperson on Wednesday. Now, Mwonge beat his closest challenger, Harriet Nakwede of the National Unity Platform, in last week's hotly contested by-elections. Now, the position had fallen vacant after the death of Mohamed Seruboga of NUP in June this year. Mwonge was sworn in during a council session, but while at it, he witnessed a walkout by the NUP councillors in the apparent protest. Now, opposition party NUP, led by musician turned politician Robert Chagulanyi, rejected the outcome of the by-elections, citing electoral fraud, and the party has since declared that they would go to court over the matter. Now, Mwonge was declared the winner Thursday last week ahead of Nakwede by a margin of 450 votes. He pulled 31,830 votes against the NUP flag bearer, who had 31,380 votes. Now, DP candidate Anthony Wandiba managed only 158 votes behind independent candidates Majib Nyanzi at 1,287 votes, Jamil Kamuga at 279 votes, and Boniface Musisi at 270 votes. Now, Wednesday's swearing-in ceremony was punctuated with dramatic scenes, which did not stop the function from going ahead as planned. As soon as Mwonge took the podium for oath, administration presided over Kayunga's Chief Magistrate Benson, and the NUP district councillors marched out. I'll move on to international scene.
Now, moving on to our international stories, we will be looking at the World Health Organization comes out again to warn world cannot boost its way out of the pandemic. Now, the World Health Organization chief was warned that the rush in wealthy countries to roll out additional COVID vaccine doses is deepening the inequality in accessing the vaccines, and it's prolonging the pandemic. And no country can boost its way out of the pandemic, the WHO director said. Now, meanwhile, a new South African study along the data of hospitalization and death in the country's fourth wave of COVID infection suggests that the risk of severe disease is lower than Omicron than with the previous variant, a top scientist has also acknowledged. The United Kingdom has recorded at least 106,122 new daily coronavirus infections, the highest total of pandemics, and the first time in figures has topped 100,000. In Nigeria, authorities have destroyed about 1 million expired doses of AstraZeneca vaccine, even as the West African country's vaccination rate has almost doubled in the last week amid spike in confirmed infections. Now, Israeli troops kill Palestinian suspected of driving car into West Bank checkpoint. The Israeli forces shot dead a Palestinian in a car they were pursuing in a occupied West Bank on Wednesday. Palestinian paramedics say the Israeli military troops shot a Palestinian who had fired at them from the vehicle. And the driver accelerated the car towards the manned military post next to Mevo Dotan, occupied West Bank. The military also did confirm that the soldier opened fire on the car, crashed into an Israeli army vehicle, setting both on fire. Now back to Africa, where we see Libya elections will be delayed and called for presidential polls. Now, Libya's election commission has called for the country's first presidential poll due to take place on Friday to be postponed for a month. It proposes the new date of 24th January after liaising with Parliament, the Commission said. Now, the Parliamentary Committee has also earlier said that it would be impossible to hold elections on Friday. The run-up for the poll has been marred by disputes over eligibility of candidates and growing insecurities. Fears Libya has been in turmoil since long-serving ruler Muammar Gaddafi, who was overthrown and killed in 2011.
Of the Arctic ice sheet, which could cause multi-meter rise in sea levels by the end of the millennium. Now, scientists predict that continued global warming and current trends could lead to an elevation of sea level by as much as 5 meters by the year 3000 CE. Now, one of the many effects of global warming is sea level rise due to the melting and retreat of the Earth's ice sheets and glaciers, as well as other sources. Now, as the sea level rises, larger areas of densely populated coastal land could ultimately become uninhabitable without expensive coastal modifications. And it is therefore vital to understand the impact of different pathways of the future climate change on changes in sea level caused by ice sheets and glaciers. Now, a team of researchers from Hokkaido University, the University of Tokyo, and Japan Agency for Marine and Earth Science Technology have analyzed this through their models, and conclusions were published in the Journal of Glaciology. Now, the ice sheet model, also in comparison, has set out to estimate the impact of global warming on the ice sheets of Antarctica and Greenland. Now, the objective was to provide the input for the recently published 6th assessment report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is the IPCC.
Happening in terms of news, in terms of activity, both internationally and locally, but also we want to engage you to be a part of our show today, to be able to share with us your sense and probably your own opinion about what's happening around us. Now, we did say that Cabinet did come out yesterday to pass a resolution that vaccination shall be mandatory. What do you share with us your opinion? What are your true sense about this particular move by Cabinet? Now, also on top of that, we want to tell you that the standing in personnel for Uncle Bob or Mr. Hallelujah, my Mollen Kenyena, is holding in her hands something quite beautiful.
Well, it says ready to drink here, and that is Hallelujah tamarind fruit drink, but you can also have the Hallelujah ginger tea drink. Now, these are good for your immunity, and as we talk about mandatory COVID-19 vaccination, you also have to make sure that your immunity is to that level where you can resist anything, and the better way to do that is have yourselves bottles of Hallelujah. You can walk into the supermarket or any of their shops and get yourself this. Just keep yourself healthy, and in that line you won't regret this.
Clearly, there should be no regret when you vaccinate and later on boost your immunity with drinks like Hallelujah ginger tea and Hallelujah tamarind. But for now, we want to boost your day by giving you a song for the day. We hope this song does kickstart your day and of course gives you fond memories about Christmas, but also puts you in the mood to celebrate the birth of the Son of God. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
Just like I've been reborn. It's the best day of my life.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
I'm growing up, I'm growing into every moment.
Thanks.
Mom.
Nurture the moment with Minute Maid Delight, now available in apple flavor in the 400ml ready-to-drink pack.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Everyone deserves more this festive season, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Senkyu points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent locations. Get 150 Senkyu points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Senkyu points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Senkyu points, dial *141#.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, clearly it is a Christmas mood, and we continue to give you those carols just to get you into the feel of how Christmas is like and what we actually dance to whenever we are towards Christmas. But what else we do within this time, especially in the extraordinary times where we have made COVID-19 a new normal, is also we have to observe the SOPs. Now, it's important to note that earlier this month, the Honorable Minister of Health, Jane Ruth Acheng, did table to Parliament the amendments to the Public Health Act about what can be done on vaccination. Now, this raised concerns among members in the House on what's the plan. Is the law even providing for, such amendments to make sure that there is mandatory vaccination across the country? Well, but weeks later, also what was heard in the House and by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, she did also raise questions about what's the plan and is this even allowed in the law? But then just a few days ago, we did see Parliament sit and approve the recommendations that were given out by the Ministry of Health about mandatory vaccination. Now, still what is in our minds is how is this going to be done? But also, what he said in this kind of approval is that you will not be allowed to be in certain places if you're not vaccinated. Now, some things you will not be able to do because you're not vaccinated, and by law someone can stop you from being somewhere, mass gatherings and also businesses. You can be stopped by law if you're not vaccinated, and this is where I want to bring in Felix this morning to also put more light into this after the recommendation by the Ministry of Health saying that you can stop anyone who is not vaccinated or not observing SOPs from getting into business or even attending a certain gathering. What do you think of this, Felix?
Well, absolutely, it is very, very much timely. It does come in the time where we are all still grappling with finding a balance amidst this COVID, or this what you want to call a pandemic. You do take note that Uganda in its own self has lost what even you may fail to quantify, and that I can give you in a trajectory of different aspects. Let's look at in of people's welfare, because which emanates from the social contract where we vote and what and all these things. But you would want to make excuse this time round for government in terms of the issue of vaccination. Now, when you have a population that is by far ignorant or informal, I won't say ignorant, probably informal, you will have, like, the bar will be raised of the effort you have to put in. Let's take an example. If you're explaining something to, let's say, a person, a graduate, and you're explaining the same thing to someone who probably studied up to about P2 or P3, you realize that you may have to explain more to the person who didn't have the privilege to go up to. Now, that's what we're dealing with. Government's efforts to make sure the vaccination is high up there are general. I think that would be the best word to use. The government is using a general approach to a situation that needs a specific approach.
Yeah. And we're looking at, you know, the fact that also what they are recommending is that, you know, without the vaccination, you will be stopped from doing certain things.
You know
so my question is, this is going to cause a little bit of havoc, because if you cannot do business with people, you're not allowed, you know, certain schools, traveling, all these things, you can be stopped by them.
I think it already started.
Already taking this on.
In one of the universities where I offer my intellect service, I know that some colleagues of mine have been stopped from working because
they have not been vaccinated.
Yes, and it is the order. Nevertheless, they were given warnings or what. But you see, what government has done is good. It's good. But as I said, you don't bring a general solution to a specific problem. The general approach of COVID vaccination by government is one of the challenges we are having, or one of the causes of the failure to see numbers that we want. It is too general. Put people there, let them wait for the brother to come and be vaccinated. Whether we know where they are or they don't. For me in Kampala, I know one vaccination point. I think that's the City Hall, KCCA.
And so are a lot of people in Kampala as well.
So the question is, how do we maximize? And I think I would even suggest, if I had the opportunity to sit in cabinet, that we may have to get private institutions to assist. You get institutions that have at least mastered the art of marketing and can bring this closer to people. Because we are spending a lot of, like, we have a budget for COVID.
Yeah.
We can get one of some of these marketing agencies, the Balams, the Katie, the whatevers.
You're reminding me of what was it some beer company that did put a vaccination center? Yeah. So they put a vaccination center for, you know, the lovers of beer.
Yes.
It was kind of motivational, and people were flocking to this center.
Absolutely, and people got vaccinated. That drive was good. Now, how about we work more on such partnerships? I saw here when Sawa Sajja Kabaka Mwenda Mutebi Yasima to use Lubiri and people got vaccinated. The Katikiro called on 2 people. I think it was over 1,000 people who were able to be vaccinated in just about 2 days or something. Now, as I said, let us do away with the generality in the issues of vaccination. Even the resolution is perfectly good. It will aid, but it is not the conclusive desired challenge or solution to this challenge. We must find specific ways. We must, by specific I mean, if you're dealing with vaccination, don't take on a general that everyone be. Let us look, let's start with civil servants, public servants. When you go to the corporate entities, you go to the Airtels of this world, the MTNs of this world, you go to all these places, go to the accountants. Do they have a forum where they meet? Go to the lawyers, the law society is there. The doctors. Can you believe there are doctors who are not vaccinated in this country? And there are very many, by the way, you'll be shocked. How do we use these associations? Let's avoid the specific approach, the general approach to a specific problem. When you say that people can now limit people who enter their premises or who work because they're not vaccinated, let me ask.
Could actually be sued for doing so.
You may not be sued even if you're sued. The challenge is the person who's stopping you, where is his heart? Their heart is where their money is.
Don't you think also there are, employers or even, people who will use this against, firing people? And,
absolutely. It's going to be abused. It's what I'm saying, that someone will look at where their money is. If you're working for me, Mollen, and these things of wire vaccination, what? And for me, it doesn't affect me. Because believe you me, up till today, people who still think COVID is a myth. And there are very many in this town. We interface with them on a daily. Now, if my heart is where the profits come from, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, I need cheap labor. So it may go away in solving the problem, but it can't go far away. We need to find specific solutions. And for me, that's my opinion. The earlier we do that, we will get there. Let us look at categorical approach of the issue of vaccination. I like the fact that we have been told that, for example, the jabs of Johnson & Johnson have been taken in far to reach areas, like the Morotos, like where we have people who are not well settled. That's a very good, that's strategic.
Where they even took it upon themselves to make it mandatory for their people. And
that is strategic. That when you have a one jab dose given to people who are in far to reach areas, it cuts the cost. So we don't have to go back, then the second jab, then we can't find them because they have shifted. That was specific approach. But this general approach to this whole thing of vaccination, for me, I think up till today, is one of the biggest challenges.
Well, thank you very much, Felix. And, he's talking about the specific solutions. We need to move away from the general approach of looking at issues. Even when they're saying that, the approval is going to be there, you can, be put in the eyes of court or the law, it still seems way far from us. And one of the things that Felix did talk about is the fact that we could have more agencies partner with governments to make sure that people are vaccinated. And you also look at the benefit of that. We have had examples before of the mobilization, such kind of mobilization. But Felix, also my concern is that will require, all these big companies, all these big figures come up to make a certain drive, like we saw the Katikiro of Uganda coming up. This was just on a general note. They took it to radio, to talk about it. So, and we also tasking, some of the companies that we're mentioning who have also aided, and we're tasking more people to come up and, look at how to market such drives, because that will mean that then they also put in the effort to mobilize masses and make sure that people, isn't this something that a lot of people might not want to take?
As I said earlier, in the preamble approach to this whole topic, you do take notice that the effect of COVID-19 or this particular pandemic is non-segregative in any way. And I can tell you that the effect has been felt by far by not only individuals, but later on SMEs, small and medium enterprises, and far to the same, even corporate entities. With that kind of effect of the coronavirus, or again the pandemic, everyone would want to find ways to get away from this. I can tell you, if government today or Ministry of Health today, and I swear to God, let them just try it and announce and say, this week or this day we are just registering, people want to partner with us on the vaccination drive, they will be overwhelmed. If people are willing to give money, were willing to give cars, people gave everything, biscuit, rice, matoke, everyone is willing to help. Because the effect is more felt. So, I don't believe that people, and by the way, even probably at no cost, I was part of the team that lobbied for some of the universities to have. Actually, the problem is the red tape. When you call officials in ministry, they say call the head of Smani Medic in Kampala. Then the Kampala will say what? They send someone. Do you have the numbers? Do you have what? I think we need to make more partnerships. Government is not, let me put it this way. Government cannot operate in isolation of its citizens. It can't. And you know, government is not an enemy to private entities. Many times and many a times we have seen government having these partnerships with private institutions. So it won't be the first time. When you say this, people can now call onto themselves mandatory vaccination. The question is, how much control do you have as government over that? And then, if people are sent back, who told you even those who will not be, let's say people are sent back home or cancelled, how does that compel them to get vaccinated? But the second thing I always say, and I want to say again, government is the biggest employer in any country, and in particular when you come to Uganda you will be overwhelmed. The question is, how many employees of government are vaccinated? And how many has it stopped from working?
It looks like that is the big question that everyone is asking right now. And also, if you look at the numbers that we have right now in terms of COVID-19, we do have a new variant that is spreading at a speed that we actually didn't think it would be spreading at. This seems to be like a solution to all these issues that we're talking about. You know, even observing SOPs right now, it seems like people are being forced to do that, yet it is something that is individually concerning. So my question is that why aren't people even before we put it on government and say you need to do more, but also the morale of people going for vaccination is just not there. And if we are struggling with the fact that we don't have these SOPs put in place, even when people, at their workplaces, how sure are we that they're even going to adhere to the fact that this has been recommended and could be, people could be put to court over stuff like this?
As I told you, you may not want to ignore the fact of the informal sector vis-a-vis the formal sector in third world countries. And where a country is by far informal, you have challenges of information in terms of passing it, how it is received, and later on perceived. It's very important that it may not be a matter of you putting information there, but you might have to make sure this information is received and it is perceived with the right attitude. That is what the problem is today. And earlier on, no wonder I brought onto the table the issue of specific approach. You don't have the same message for the people in Katari or in a market with the same message someone who's sitting on the 7th floor somewhere on the Kampala Towers, as either a litigant or a practitioner in accounting or whatever. You must make the right message to the right people. We have the challenge in this country that when you talk about, and that's why I'm talking about partnerships, have we engaged the market leaderships exhaustively? There's this Butale, the president calls Butale Womuburo. How have we engaged them? Because we normally know that on Monday there will be in Entebbe, Wednesday there will be what, in Ghana. How are we using these spots? Yes. How are we using, let's say, the taxi community? They have leaderships. The border are like, what in this city? There are so many. How are we tapping into them? Because, and we must look at the most lethal individuals. And in this time, we must look at the transport sector. In fact, when cabinet passes such a resolution, the expectation is that there must be a bit of specification that should we say all taxi drivers and conductors must be vaccinated? Because these are some of the biggest people who would say pass on. They're like the motor vehicles of the transmissions of this virus. Let's look at the border community. How do we help them? There are over millions in this case. They're just like, I don't know, dust. There are so many, even where they're not supposed to be. They're there. How do we help that community? Because for them it is organized. If you want, tell them. If you want to hit back the road, this is what we are saying. But when you, now, okay, when you say employers are going to stop employees, let's look at that and let's try to dissect it. Do you mean to say what is the number of people in employment vis-a-vis the number in formal employment? Because in formal employment, people do their own work. Yeah. No one is employing them. Let's look at the border community. The border community alone may be more than the number of people who are employed in private sector in Kampala. So are we having still the right approach? How many numbers can we get? Actually, you will be shocked that most of the people under employment are vaccinated. The people who are not vaccinated, the people in the informal sector. Look at the border clutter in Kampala. It may be more than the number of the people you're targeting. So how do we focus on that specific approach? The taxi drivers, the markets, the places where there is so much contact of money, of individuals, those should be our places of major contact, interest rather.
Well, thank you very much, Felix, for that. And clearly, we are looking at the fact that we might need to be specific and target more people. But we did also call for your opinion on the same topic. And so far, we do have a response coming in from Derek Cricket, who is saying good morning, and also says government must note that it's dealing with complicated citizens who need to be forced even on issues of their own benefits. And also says that if vaccination is optional, there are some regions who do not believe in vaccinating, so obviously they will reject this. So it should be mandatory to all all citizens to better our country, and that is really good. Thank you very much, Cricket, for bringing that up. And also we have one coming in from Fred Chesho, who is saying that mandatory vaccination of masses could be good if government could have mobile vehicles, motorbikes, bicycles that can move and reach out to areas far beyond in villages. Otherwise, it might not achieve what is targeted for. And I think this is also speaking to what we're talking about. We need to have more of that drive out there to make sure that people are actually rushing and running towards vaccination. And also, I think there is need for more of education towards people to make sure that they are not skeptic anymore, because we have reached that new normal that we are talking about. So thank you very much for keeping it here and discussing this with us. But we do have more coming your way. We'll be taking you through print media, and later on we'll have traffic, weather updates, and I'll also put you in the Christmas mode with more of what we have for you this morning. Well, from Felix and I, let's take a short break. We'll come back with what is trending in print media.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by was brought to you by.
Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Everyone deserves more this festive season, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Secu points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent locations. Get 150 Secu points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Secu points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Secu points, dial *141#.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
I'm growing up, I'm growing into every moment.
Thanks.
Mom.
Nurture the moment with Minute Maid Delight, now available in apple flavor in the 400ml ready-to-drink pack.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, of course, it's about that time when we take you through what's in the papers. Now, holding the Daily Monitor, the big headline is government sets new rules to block the unvaccinated. Well, of course, they say cabinet says more move is intended to give Ugandans a fight chance in the face of COVID-19, the Omicron variant that is ripping through nations. Uganda has so far registered 25 cases of the new variant. Now, cars stay safe on the road this festive season, and the regional leaders endorse entry of Congo into the East African community. Now, new COVID rules for schools reopening, KCCA or KES plan to rename streets, and medical interns call off strike. Inside the papers, BSJ hints at 2022 action plan, and 50 MPs return from Tanzania with COVID-19. Now, today in history, Francis Butagira elected Speaker of Parliament, that is in 1980, and Japanese World War II criminals hanged in Tokyo. But also in the New Vision headlines today, government orders schools not to hike fees. Now, continuing students who had fully paid to be exempted, and KCCA officials MP face 1.7 billion fraud case. But also Makerere University 100-year journal, and lockdown girls hit hard, how teen mothers can be helped. Over 150 tenders still in the papers, but also lockdown exams, S1 chemistry, S2 physics math, and S3 English. Inside the papers, how can I help correct my spoiled miss and help my daughter thinks she is not beautiful? Okay, now of course they give you the COVID tracker as well. But also in the sports column, we're looking at NASA relieves great moment there, and Biekwaso is pleased with a share of spoiled. Now also a mixed soccer bag, that is for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup qualifiers. Uganda players celebrate their victory against Kenya during the FIFA their qualifiers. Now signature bag honors in Mbarara Corporate League, and it's a show of agility. Now also in the Daily Monitor, there we're looking at sports, where we see log header KCCA develops called fit in Champions Express title metal tests, and in a ditch, Los Angeles Lakers were beaten 108-90 by the visiting Phoenix Suns at their losing streak stretched 3 games, and the Sun recorded 24th victory. Now no separation at Xmas, and Ateta hoping to persuade hat-trick hero Nketiah to stay. Now Silverback ride with sack of money there, and Wanika atop Paul log. Now of course we do cross over into the Daily Nation, where we're looking at Ruto wins first round in battle, another special session planned to pass a proposal before the end of the year. And of course they give you queries as Uganda farm to run Mumia Sugar Corporation bid 10 times lower than Kenyan's farms there. But of course revealed how Moi shared his billions. That is also in the same papers, and who benefited, who got what is in the papers. Far from that, or what's the trading in the papers, we want to hit the streets with Mollen and try to know how we get into the beautiful heart of the city, and of course trying to pick up also on some of the traffic tips there. Now we don't know where she'll be taking us from or bringing us to, as we do, of course, rush ourselves into Christmas. Mollen, good morning.
Well, very good morning once again. And as we rush towards Christmas, obviously, there are a lot of people that are hitting the road. And this morning, you know, perusing through the city, you will want to know exactly where you could find a clear route. But we'll start it off from here, just right around Nile Avenue. The roundabout seems to be quite clear heading into Yusuful Road. So where you see the green lines is where we have that easy traffic there, starting to clear up, but also we'll continue from there and get into much of what we have across Kampala Road. It seems like this is a road that has been quite stuck with traffic this morning, but at least we're seeing throughout Yusufule that road is starting to clear up. As you head towards, Kampala Road, that area is also looking quite clear. Now, there is a little bit of traffic as you head towards Kira Road here. So this roundabout is one if you really have, you know, options to get somewhere to avoid. But also take a look at Haj Musa Kalole Road. That road seems to be clear this morning, and what we are looking at is quite some, good road to take. But Nakasero Hill Road also seems to have a little bit of traffic. So if you really want to get somewhere down here, you might just want to use the Haji Musa Kalule Road, which seems to be having less traffic this morning. But then we continue. We want to head towards the northern bypass. You look at the fact that we do have at least that roundabout across Waise quite clear for now. It is having those red lines, those green lines. Now that seems to be quite clear over that area. But also look at Bombo Road there having that green color. That means that we do have less traffic on that area. You move further as you head towards Wandegea. Bombo Road also quite clear, but also for the people coming into town, it's actually getting a little bit of traffic. That is towards the roundabout, but other than that, it also starts clear as you head towards the city. So much of that is actually quite clear all the way. You look at Bombo Road, but we take a look at the roundabout Wise here. This is where there is a little bit of more jam and traffic building up over that area. Now for the people that are, towards the expressway, the other side, that is also still within the red lines, heading towards Kampala Gulu Highway. So that road is actually having a bit of traffic. I want to blame it on the fact that people are hitting the roads, moving up country, but also that road is quite having a little bit of traffic. But heading for Kampala Northern Bypass all the way towards the Namungona roundabout, now there is a lot of traffic that is also starting to build up over that line. If you look at that red line there, that is from Waise roundabout, that traffic is still there. You go all the way with the kind of traffic. Now it clears in the middle there, but then again you're heading towards the Namungona roundabout. So that means that the traffic is starting to clear. And by the way, this is heading towards Masaka Road. We usually have traffic there as people are heading also up country to go and celebrate. But you look at the Namungona roundabout here, we also have a little bit of traffic, and we have a flyover. Yes, so that is where, at least it's clear. But down as you head towards Hoima Road, there is a little bit of traffic. But the good news is that it clears as you now head into Hoima Road. So at least that might not be for a long time. Now also the people coming from the Busega side towards the Namungona roundabout, it looks like there is a little bit of traffic, but that is only a short distance, so that is something that can be avoided over that area. Now from that roundabout, the Kampala Northern Bypass Highway looks to be quite clear. We have those green lines over there. That means that we have a clear route for this morning across that area. And it just builds up actually as you head towards the roundabout. But other than that, you look at this road really being clear and easy to walk with or even travel with this morning, as we look at more people heading for up country. And that is where the traffic usually comes in, just as we are all packed and rushing on the road to make sure that we do catch it up. Now look at the Sentema Road as you head towards the Masanafu roundabout. Now it starts starts to build up just a few meters away from St. Emma Road, but it looks like this is just something small within the orange lines, so this will only take you just a few seconds to get through. But then there is more traffic coming in as you head towards that Masanafu roundabout from Busega within the Kampala Northern Bypass Highway. That is where we have traffic, but if you're heading towards that area, you are looking at less traffic. But the people coming from that side are the ones now stuck in a little bit of traffic from that area, but that is just a few kilometers away. And looks like most of the people heading also now again for the Busega roundabout, there is a little bit of traffic. So these are the kind of roads that you might want to avoid right now if you're heading somewhere, and take a few shortcuts just to avoid the bypass between the Masanafu roundabout and the Busega roundabout. There is a lot of traffic building up over this area. So if you really must be on this road, that's when you will be there. But if you can avoid it and take shortcuts, it is really looking like that area is having a lot of traffic this morning. And like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of that has something to do with the fact that people are traveling up country, and we do have those last minutes, people trying to get onto the road and make sure that they get up country and be with their loved ones during this Christmas season. But again, if you look into the expressway now, we're reaching the Busega roundabout. Now the expressway, as you join towards the Entebbe expressway, that is kind of clear. But take a look down at the Kampala-Entebbe expressway, that road that is connecting towards the Busega roundabout, that is where we have much traffic there in red lights and red lines. Now that is one area that is going to be quite trapped this morning, looking at what is happening over there. Now most of that is in black, red lines, looking at much more of the traffic. Now that is only much of it is to the side of Busega roundabout, Mitiana Road. That is where most of that is stuck. But also towards Mitiana Road from the roundabout, you look at the fact that there is a little bit of traffic that is quite, majorly over there, and that could actually take some time to clear. But also as you head towards Mitiana Road, there is a little bit of more traffic, and that is taking at least a sizable kilometers from that the first roundabout to the second roundabout towards Busega Fish Market. So that is one area that is really building up with more traffic. You look at Masaka Road, also building up with that traffic, but then it starts to clear just after you've crossed the, that flyover for Kampala Expressway, the Entebbe Expressway. But Kampala and PG still with that traffic, so that is one road you must prepare for this morning if you are likely to hit a road. And if you can get shortcuts, I am telling you, you might need to use those and navigate through the city. Make sure that you get to where you're going in time. But away from the traffic, we also want to take you through what we have in terms of weather this morning. We're looking at mostly reduced wet weather activities across much of the country, and we could be looking at more of those as we head into Christmas. But this morning we did start off with actually a rainy system across parts of Central and the Lake Victoria Basin. Now look out for where you're seeing the orange colors, the yellow to blue. Now that is a rain system. Now to some areas, especially the western part of Lake Victoria, where we have Masaka there, already having that system heading over there, and that is one that is also bringing rains this morning and towards several places. But also Kampala starting to also have those rain-bearing clouds within the blue colors and green, meaning that we will be looking at most of those precipitating over a few areas, and that could be bringing us rains also for this morning. But also you look at some areas within the Kyoga region. Now this area has been quite dry for the last couple of days. But now the good news is that we're starting to see at least some of those rainy systems stretching towards the area. So that means that we could be looking at, a little bit of relief in terms of rains across that area. So that is good news over there. Now it seems like also we do have some of those systems that are starting to develop over Lake Victoria, and these are the ones that could also be bringing us rains across several places. Now
If you look at how this rainy system is playing, looks like it is just heading westwards and could also be bringing us rains towards areas of the central part, and that is also Mubende could be receiving those rains as the system continues to move westwards. We look at areas of Midwestern Uganda, Hoima. We could also be looking at rains for this morning, and it's also kind of headed upwards. So that means the whole of Midwestern could be looking into wet weather activities for this morning. But then we have a little bit of those starting to develop across southwestern Uganda, just over a few areas, parts of Mbarara, just the southern part of Mbarara starting to build up, but mostly for now it's just cloudy conditions, as you can see from the satellites. Now more of the clouds are developing across the central part of Uganda. That is where we also have the likes of Ruwero, Nakasongola, Nakaseke having most of those clouds and likely to be precipitating as we proceed with the morning. But also looking more into eastern Uganda this morning, this has been mostly dry for the last couple of days also, but at least for now we're starting off with quite cloudy conditions. Well, a little bit of sunny skies still across the Karamoja region, where you see the gray colors. Those are just open skies looking at a sunny morning. Now it has been consistently sunny over this area, and not to mention also northern Uganda. We see those gray colors, that is still open skies. It seems like we're not having any of those rain-bearing clouds move over this area, but also it is normal for this time of the year. That area is heading for mostly dry conditions, so we're not wondering why that is happening. And also to mention the fact that most of these rainy systems that do develop over Lake Victoria affecting mostly within Central are just locally influenced. So what the advantage that we have here, even to if you look at the western side of Lake Victoria that is having those wet weather activities as we speak, is that most of those do develop from the lake. And if you keenly look at this system where you see those deep colors, they are all starting from the lake and then going upwards. So obviously those are locally influenced. But look at other areas where we don't have that kind of local effect. Now also you will notice areas of Mbale here starting off with clear skies. Now the advantage that we have here in terms of temperatures, you look at that even when they don't have those rains and have the same sunny morning, same as Karamoja and northern Uganda, at least temperatures here are quite low. The effect of having Mount Elgon here also helps with keeping the temperatures a little bit lower. So considered to the rest of the country, you look at that area having a sunny morning, but as well the temperatures are quite okay. But where we have dry conditions even right now, you look at areas of Kasese also starting off with mostly clear skies, Fort Portal also looking at clear skies. Now we also have a little bit of more of warm temperatures across Kasese and this area, across the Rwenzori region. Now you look at sunny skies, but then we do have that neighboring system from Congo that seems to be starting off with a lot of rains this morning. But it looks like it's also moving westwards. But there is the way it is propagating, and that could help at least cover some of the areas. We look at, this is what we're talking about usually when we are looking at the Congo air mass. There is that influence that comes from this side of Congo that usually affects western Uganda and bring in much of those wet weather activities. But what we have, the system that we have across Congo this morning seems to be moving at a slow pace and might not be bringing us rains this morning, but also that could contribute a lot in the afternoon in terms of what is likely to happen across western Uganda. Now this also gives an advantage to the western part of the country. Even when much of the areas across the country are having dry weather, they will benefit from this kind of influence from the Congo area, and that is what we call meteorologically the Congo air mass that usually moves in and also serves with the rains across northern Uganda. Now, what is a disadvantage still across the northern part of the country is that the neighbors that would be contributing to wet weather are actually high pressure systems, and usually those systems are associated with dry weather. So even when there are winds, pushing in from the northern part of the continent, they are just pushing in dry winds, so that will reduce more and more of the rains across this area. Because we usually have systems here across, the Sahara region coming in from Liberia. That area is always associated with high pressure systems. What these do is they keep pushing in dry winds. So it's not helping with the situation in northern Uganda or even the Karamoja region. We're still going to be looking at most of those dry conditions even this festive season. But we are hoping that, there is some kind of
divine intervention, and we have Father Christmas probably bringing a little bit of rain. But until then, we'll be keeping you updated, even same time tomorrow, about the weather. But coming up, we'll be looking at Good Morning Uganda agenda and later take you through sports. My name is Mollen Kenyena. I want to wish you a good morning.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co-Uganda, Office of the President.
Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofing's, strength of a nation.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer.